And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the Checkers and Records podcast. I am your host, Carter Leonard, and welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen, episode 12 of the first season. And we have a lot to uncover today. And by the time you're probably watching this episode, I am on the road to Talladega for the entire weekend. So yeah, I will be down there. This is another Friday episode. We try to keep episodes on Thursday, but we try to get them at the end of the week for you guys. But yeah, welcome to episode 12. It's just me again. so yeah, oh, I got really excited right there, and as of right now, I am not going to keep this episode very long, considering the fact that I have to. I mean, I've already packed, but I have to. I'm gonna have to leave soon, but I definitely have time to get this episode in. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off what we normally start off with. It's the weekend recap, and this past weekend, the three National Touring Series of NASCAR toured to Martinsville. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cups Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Let's start off with the truck race. Corey Heim was definitely the star of the field. You definitely had some more notable performances in there. You had William Sawalich, 16 years old, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in ARCA, gets a top 10 in his very first truck start. He was driving the number one for Tricon Garage, and his next truck start will be at Mid Ohio. So good job for him. But let's get back to Corey Heim real quick. Definitely one of the faster trucks. He definitely dominated the night. I believe he swept both stages. Now, this race was not all the way completed. It was a rain-shortened race. However, earlier in the race, before the race even started, that there was a big lightning delay, and obviously with that, it's the 30-minute clock, and the rain came through, and pretty much we lost the track. Well, not entirely, because keep in mind, this year NASCAR has started doing the wet weather, the new wet. NASCAR started doing the new wet weather package, which is you could basically run rain tires on damp tracks at short tracks, and Martinsville is one of the exceptions. However, it was a little weird because they weren't really specific, because I remember watching this race on Friday night, and it was actually a pretty solid for damp conditions. It was solid racing. I didn't really think it looked like a major difference. It was fine, but a lot of fans were kind of confused, especially on social media, saying that they didn't run in a light sprinkle. Well, the wet weather package obviously is for damp conditions, but I don't think NASCAR really made that clear, so that had me confused. I'm just like, well, if there's like a light sprinkle on the track, then which happened, by the way, why don't we just run it? And well, they obviously didn't, and we kind of misjudged it, but now we know for the future. But for the truck race, it was a solid race, I guess. And yeah, that was the truck race. Now let's move on to the Xfinity Series race. John Hunter Nemechek picks up his second win of the year after a few after several starts. He won at Auto Club. He won at the final Xfinity Series race at Auto Club this year, and now he is already a multi-time winner in the Xfinity Series, right behind Austin Hill. He dominated most of the night. Both of the Gibbs cars did. Both him and Sammy Smith. It was either going to be him. It was either going to be him or Sammy Smith getting the win. And shout out to Parker Retzlaff for Jordan Anderson Racing, qualifying fourth and finished 11th for what that equipment is, which we all know is definitely not race one and definitely not championship equipment. This dude has so far really outperformed it, and he's actually a really underrated talent. So good job for Parker Retzlaff. But going back to John Hunter Nemechek, not really a whole lot to say on this race. I mean, he pretty much dominated. It's clear as day. I mean, but there was one notable event, and that was when John Hunter Nemechek tried to do his best Zane Smith at Coda impression and light the track on fire. And well, he did just that. It was pretty cool, but luckily they were able to get that fire out, and no one was hurt. So that's the Xfinity Series race. Congrats to John Hunter Nemechek. Now we get into the Sunday race, and it is the Cup race. It's the NOCO 400. And Kyle Larson, a track that he has struggled at in the past, has won. Finally, he now has a Martinsville clock, which I actually read an interesting stat that the past 4 seasons that each of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers have now had a win at Martinsville. 2020 Chase Elliott, 2021 Alex Bowman, 2022 William Byron, and 2023 now with Kyle Larson. So all 4 of those drivers now have a Martinsville clock to their resume, and I can't blame Kyle Larson for being shocked that he won this race. He definitely played the pit strategy well. He took 2 tires, and he made it work. He battled with Joey Logano late in the race, but Joey Logano, he actually had a really up and down day. There was a point to where the lowest point that he had was like 32nd, and he somehow found his way back up into the top 10. So, I mean, solid run for Logano, but he's kind of had an up and down start to the year, even though he has had a win. So I will say that. But going back to Kyle Larson, even himself was pretty surprised, considering that he's mentioned before that this is not one of his best racetracks. He has struggled at this place before. And yeah, 2 out of the last 3 races that we have ran are on short tracks, and Kyle Larson has won them. He's won at Richmond before, but not at Martinsville before. But he finally got that win there, and so far a very strong start to the year for Kyle Larson, if I have to say. He's definitely looking like a championship favorite. He now ties his teammate William Byron for multiple wins to start out the year. I think he does. I don't know if anybody else has 2 wins besides him and Byron. So, yeah, congrats to Kyle Larson and the 5 team. They are on a roll right now, and let's see if they can keep it going. And that is the race weekend recap of the show, ladies and gentlemen. That is the race weekend recap at Martinsville, and overall solid weekend. Not really a whole lot going on. However, I will get into the Cup race here again shortly. But it has nothing to do with the racing product itself. It has to do with the aero package, which we're going to get into right now. So NASCAR this year introduced a new short track package. It's still 670 horsepower, however, it is a small spoiler and new changes to the underbody of the car, including the rear diffuser. Now, the first race that this package was used at was Phoenix, and in my opinion, that's not really a good test because although Phoenix is kind of labeled as a short track, I'm talking like authentic short tracks like Richmond, Martinsville, those kinds of tracks, right? So like, I was expecting, I wanted to see what Richmond and Martinsville were like. Richmond was a pretty solid race. There was actually some passing, but it's not a perfect package, I will say that. And Martinsville kind of proved that point. There was little to none passing. I'm not saying this package is completely terrible, but it's not a great one either. It's not that great. And a lot of people are kind of looking around saying, okay, well, what's exactly the issue? We changed the underbody, we changed the spoiler height, and we've done a few extra other things. What exactly is the problem? And I'm surprised that people are asking themselves that because it's pretty obvious, if you ask me, what the problem is. And I think it's just one easy solution. Obviously, I'm not saying they're gonna do it for the rest of the year. It's kind of late to do that now, but if they want to start doing this, according to some tweets, including Doug Yates, they have to do it now. It's plain and simple. NASCAR needs to up the horsepower of the cars. It's plain and simple. Drivers have been saying that's because the current Cup car package on road courses, not road courses, but on short tracks, are 670 horsepower, and drivers have been advocating for higher horsepower. Now, even Kevin Harvick, he even went as far as saying 1,000 horsepower, which, I think would work. Now, I do agree that the horsepower needs to be increased. I definitely do believe that. I don't think it's an aerodynamic issue. I think these cars, because, looking at these Cup cars at Martinsville, it feels like that they're just stuck. They can't go anywhere. They don't have enough power, and the shifting. Because keep in mind, this is a fifth gear car, and they the shifting kind of ruins it. Well, not kind of. It does. It doesn't really help. I don't because shifting kind of kills off that forward momentum just a tiny bit, and I mean, I can't really change that considering it's a fifth gear car. So I don't know if they were to ever go back down to fourth gear, probably not. But yeah, it's plain and simple. We need to up the horsepower. I would say the most likely option would probably be like 850 horsepower. I know people are like, "Whoa, no, you need to go higher than that." Yeah, but people need to understand that they're reducing costs, or at least it's what they thought. Now, Denny Hamlin actually went on his podcast. I know, right? That's the last thing I want to talk about on Actions Detrimental, and he explained that because when NASCAR made this next gen race car, the whole purpose, well, not necessarily the whole purpose, but like one of the things that they wanted to focus on was reduced cost and reduced cost spending money. They wanted to because upping the horsepower, that's not a free thing to do. That's pretty cheap. You have to, it all goes to the engine, to the RPMs, and all that stuff. And Denny talked about well, let me backtrack for a second. And when it comes to reduced cost spending, you would automatically think that the engine build of these race cars are totally different. They're in the negatives of the prices that they were previously. They are way cheaper. Well, according to Denny Hamlin, that turns out not to be true. And I don't like to take Denny Hamlin's word for a lot of things, but he is a driver. He is in the garage area, and I'm going to take his word for it. Now, if this is true, if the engine costs for these cars are the exact same as they have been for the last several years now, what exactly is stopping us from upping the horsepower? I'm just curious. And I know a lot of that has to go within the manufacturers on if they want it or if they don't want it. I understand that, but like I don't really see how it matters when if the engine costs are the exact same, what's wrong with adding a little, bite to it? Like that's all I'm gonna. Like, I'm not gonna. A lot of people are gonna look at this and be like, "Oh, Carter, there's a lot more things that go into this. You have to understand." But like, if the whole purpose of this car was to reduce costs, it's failing its job in one of those aspects if the engine prices are the same. Like that doesn't like when I think of reduced costs, I think of let's say for example, a box of cereal is $10. Yeah, expensive ass cereal, I know, but it reduces down to $3. That's reducing costs. I think we're all intelligent enough to know what reduced cost spending is. I think we can all agree on that. But if it's still the exact same, what's stopping us from upping the horsepower? Now, according to Doug Yates, who is one of the major presidents over at Ford Performance and Ford Motors, who do a lot for like, Team Penske, Roush especially, when it comes to Ford engines and stuff like that. He tweeted out recently that if NASCAR wants to up the horsepower of this car for the foreseeable future, meaning next year, then they would have to start doing it now. I would hope that they are taking the driver's word for it. And hell, even Drew Herring, who was a former driver in MTJ spotter, he even did a little test for Toyota at North Wilkesboro, which, by the way, North Wilkesboro, a short track, and he even tweeted by saying, "Man, I have never worked so hard going slow." There wasn't even any other cars out on the track. I believe. If someone says that, that really speaks volumes. I really hope that they are really looking at this and NASCAR has their hands tied. They can literally do hell. They could even go without any spoiler. It is not going to change. You have to up the horsepower. It is plain and simple. Well, not simple in a way like, oh, it's just one quick easy fix at the snap of a finger. Obviously not, but you have to. You want better short track racing. You don't want fans, because I'll admit, when I was watching the race on Sunday, there was points where I was just scrolling on my phone majority of the time. There wasn't any action going on. Like, yes, there was a lot more passing compared to last year's race. I will say that the Martinsville race this year was a lot better than last year's spring race. That spring race was god awful. One of the worst Martinsville, not only one of the worst Martinsville races, but like one of the worst short track races that I've ever seen in motorsports. Like it was ridiculous. So I we're taking one step forward but two steps back. Yeah, you changed the package, but it isn't necessarily what we had in mind. And I've been in a Discord server with a lot of people who say, "Oh, well, just because you have higher horsepower doesn't mean it's going to make the short track racing better. If you have a good aerodynamic pack." Stop for a second. Stop for a second. We have tried a good aerodynamics already. We literally did this change to the package for a reason. We changed the height. We changed the spoiler height. We have changed the underbody of the car. It is still not working. Now what? Now there's even far as people saying that this car is a complete failure. Stop. Don't call the next gen a failure. It is in its second year. But I will say this: a lot of things are being fixed with the next gen car as of right now, like safety. Um, this, and that. I can't really name off a few things off the top of my head, but like this is a major problem that needs to be fixed because I love short track racing. There was years, for the past several years, I've always been hyped when the Cup Series would either go to like tracks like Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol, uh, freaking, I don't know where else. New Hampshire I would consider a short track, but not really. But I used to be hyped for short track racing because those races are fun to watch. They're very fun to I've been to Bristol before. That's a fun event to go to, and you always want to put on a good show. I don't want to see. Please just up the horsepower. Please, please, please up the horsepower. I know I keep advocating it. I know it seems like I keep repeating the same exact thing, but I will always keep bringing it up until NASCAR listens. Eventually, NASCAR is going to have their hands tied, and they're going to have no other choice. But there is one possible solution that we can do to up the horsepower, and I'm going to mention that later on in this episode. So, yeah, that's my horsepower segment rant, I guess you would call it. Very, very interesting, if you ask me. But yeah, I mean, it's just I want to see good short track racing with this car. This car still has a lot of potential to it, and it just really kind of disappoints me to see cars not being able to pass, no moves being able to made, and drivers keep saying that like, no, we need to change this package and we need it now. So please, NASCAR, if you are doing what the time slot says, like Doug Yates said, then you have to change the package, please, for next year. Please, please, please. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my little horsepower rant right there. So yeah. All right, so now let's talk about penalties. Yeah, it seems like it's a weekly occurrence that penalties are a thing in NASCAR. Like, well, I mean, they are a thing, but like it just seems like every single week there's an appeal, there's a new penalty, there's an appeal for that penalty, then another penalty pops up. Like it just never stops. And like the word appeal has been ingrained into my brain for like the past few weeks. It's actually giving me a headache. Like, please stop with all the penalties, team. But colleague, after two tries, they finally got their points appeal approved by the board of directors. And in my opinion, that should have been done to begin with. I mean, Hendrick Motorsports literally got caught with the same exact thing. Yes, I am aware that Justin Haley got caught because he actually used one of those hood louvers at that track, at in the on the track. I completely understand that, but you have to. It's not like he used it in the actual race. So like, if you are going to penalize them the same exact way, you better get their appeal approved the exact same way. However, Justin Haley, crew chief Trent Owens is still serving his suspension, which is kind of weird because if it's a 4 race suspension, then it's been 4 races by now. Shouldn't he be back? Maybe I missed something. I don't know. But one penalty ending, another one beginning. The 3 car for Richard Childress Racing, Austin Dillon has been penalized today. They have been docked 60 drivers' points and I believe 5 playoff points as well, which I don't even know if he had any, considering that Austin Dillon has not had a really fruity start to the year, I will say. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But for the penalty itself, apparently he was messing around with the underbody of the car. What that means exactly is that, well, it means what it does mean. Um, Trying to see. He was caught for, it was an L1 level penalty for an illegal underwing assembly discovered on their car. So, what is an illegal underwing? Well, it sounds like what it sounds like. It's an illegal underwing with. I actually don't know what illegal underwear is, so please excuse me, guys. I'm not Mr. Know It All. I'm not. I don't necessarily always know the ins and outs of these cars. Whatever it was, it affected the downfall, not necessarily the downforce of the car, but it affected something, and NASCAR saw it, and they did not like it. The way RCR announced it on their social media, it was the exact same template that they used to react to the Tyler Reddick news. This announcement could have not have come at a worser time, and they did the same thing with, we are we are disappointed in the penalty that NASCAR has issued to the Richard Childress Racing following the recent NASCAR Cup Series race at Martinsville Speedway, and plan to go through the appeal process. Hopefully, this is the last one for a while. I am so sick and tired of talking about appeals and penalties. It's quite frankly obnoxious at this point, and you know the whole Hendrick Motorsports, hood lure thing at Phoenix started that whole damn thing. It's gotten annoying. It's actually giving me a headache, and I'm tired of hearing it. So, please.
Stop messing with your cars. Maybe you wouldn't have to go through this. You know what I mean? I have to talk closely in the mic in order to get my point across because you guys won't listen. So I suggest you start doing it, please, and thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely not happy about it. Well, I'm not an Austin Dillon fan, obviously, but yeah, and they also got fined $75,000, so that's really nice and dandy. Yeah, that's all I really have to talk about for the appeals penalties. Collie got their points back, and which doesn't really say a whole lot considering that they have now had a really hot start to the year with Justin Haley and Austin Dillon, as he went from 21st in the point standings down to 28th, which is 84 points back. So, yeah, not a great start to the flagship number car at RCR. And it's obviously getting outperformed by V8. No surprise. Yeah, that's the only thing I have to talk about with appeals and penalties on this show. Hopefully, I never talk about it again. All right, now let's get into Um, a recent tweet by Adam Stern, which talks about NASCAR um, planning to do some new things at the racetrack. What is it exactly? Well, it has something to do with zero carbon emissions by 2035. And a lot of fans are not happy about it. Obviously, not, because when NASCAR fans hear the word zero carbon emissions, their mind literally goes, "Oh well, it's electric. I'm not gonna watch anymore. This is dumb." The tweet states as follows: NASCAR says it's committing to researching net zero carbon emissions for operations by 2035 as part of a new sustainability program called NASCAR Impact. By 2028, NASCAR will introduce a new sustainable fuel, build EV charging ports at venues, plus source renewable electricity. Obviously, this is the route that a lot of companies are going for nowadays. You know, not just car companies, but you see like a lot of companies like well, I can't really name off a few off the top of my head, but a lot of companies are starting to go with new renewable energy because I mean, it's what the world is going for at this point. Now, back to NASCAR for a second. Fans seeing this are not happy about this because they automatically think that, well, NASCAR is going to go electric. Now, what is my opinion on electric cars? First of all, I don't like electric cars, but I understand why they're there. I understand the whole purpose behind them, but I don't know how good they exactly work and how much of an impact that they are truly making. And I'll tell you this: with this generation of with the older generations of fans seeing this, they automatically say, "Oh, NASCAR's going woke, go broke, woke car." I hate when people say woke car, but no, back on track. So it's no surprise that NASCAR is going in this direction. I mean, a lot of motorsports doing it. F1 is planning to have net zero carbon emissions by 2030, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I want to. It's somewhere in late 2020s, early 2030s by that point. But we'll see how that goes for them. But in NASCAR's case, it's no shocker that they have been looking into the electric market because there was plans for an an EV exhibition series this year that was supposed to do a demonstration race at the Clash and a few other events, but that since has been delayed. And that's the only thing that they've really tried at this point. Now, I don't think I don't want to go to an electric NASCAR race, not because it's electric, but because of the fact that it just does not have the same charm and unique esque to it. Because when the thing that really grabs your attention and completely shocks you is the roar of the engines of stock cars. Like I remember going to my first race and it was just I couldn't believe it. It literally freaked out my little 10-year-old mind when I saw those cars flying by me at almost 200 miles per hour. I mean, it's wild. Electric vehicles, vroom, vroom, vroom. Someone even calls them vacuum cleaners, which I mean, I mean it's kind of funny, but um, do I think electric vehicles in NASCAR can work? Actually, I do believe so, and I'll tell you why. Because when you have um when you have a lot of these when you have your main manufacturers, you have Chevy, Ford, and Toyota all exploring the electric vehicle markets because there's going to come a day where pretty much every single car manufacturer, not just in the United States, but the entire world, are completely electric. I mean, we're heading down that route. It's gonna happen, right? But we NASCAR is going to have to, come aboard that train. And there's a lot of benefits to it. One, you're keeping the manufacturers happy. Trust me, you want to keep manufacturers happy along in the sport. And there's even possibilities of new OEMs coming in. Oh, gee, I don't know. Maybe like I would say Dodge, but they said no to coming back to NASCAR, so I don't know if that's on the table. They could change their mind, but I don't know. And I mean, as a race fan, I want to see Honda get into NASCAR. I think that would be really fucking cool, if you ask me. I've seen what they've done in IndyCar and stuff like that. So I mean, hey, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to try something out for them. I mean, who knows? But I understand why. I understand why a lot of people don't want to see electrification in NASCAR because you know NASCAR has always been big engine, big noise, big this, big that. But and with electrification, it takes that out. However, it's now keep in mind NASCAR is not going electric just yet because they have literally said by 2028 that they will introduce a new sustainable fuel. Last time I checked, electric cars do not use fuel. I think boomers and older fans when they don't even look at the post and read anymore. They just look at it and when they see the word electric, oh, going woke, going broke. NASCAR died when Dale died. I haven't watched a race since Ernie Irvan was in the Skittles car, or whatever they say. I mean, like, like people, it's amazing how people read that tweet and they don't even know what it means. I mean, there's going to be EV charging ports at venues because by 2028, you're going to see a lot more electric cars on the road than. I mean, there's going to be a big majority of gas powered vehicles, but like you'll start seeing more electric cars often and often. I mean, hey, I mean, every time when I'm on the road, when I'm heading to the gym, or heading to the store or heading anywhere else, you know, I won't have to look far to find like a Tesla on the road or some electric vehicle of any manufacturer of some sort. They are becoming more and more common as the time goes on and it's the new future of it. I don't like it, because I'm a big sports car guy and I like seeing Camaros, Corvettes, rest in peace the Charger and the Challenger, but I understand why they're there. I understand you have to make the environment better, and NASCAR's fully committed to doing that, but they're not going fully electric. So please stop freaking out. The most NASCAR will do is probably go hybrid, which they have been toying with. They said that they want to go hybrid by next year. I don't think that's happening. I think they probably would have announced something by now, or maybe they're just waiting because they have not tested anything like that at all, or at least not that I know of. There could be some things going on behind the scenes that literally no one knows about at this point. So, but I'm not going to speculate because, well, I'm not. I mean, I could speculate all I want, but I'm not going to because, well, it's going to seem a little bit. I'm just going to be making shit up that doesn't make any sense, but, who knows. Sometimes the sports world doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, NASCAR fans, you guys need to calm down. The sport's not going electric for a while. Take a chill pill, please. Like, let's just hush now, child. So, yeah, yeah. I'm even looking through the comments right now, and this will be the end of NASCAR. And one comment even says that net zero carbon emissions means offsetting the emissions they create, not electric vehicles. Now, I will say that NASCAR does need an electric. I think an electric vehicle support series, like they have planned to do. I think that would work really well and keep the manufacturers happy. I think that would actually really bode well for NASCAR if they get an electric support series. I actually hope they do that. I actually hope that they get it planned. I don't know if I would watch it necessarily, but I would like to see how it does. I'm always open to new things, and whatever goes goes. So I mean, yeah, I will always be a NASCAR fan for life. There are some things that, um, you know, again, I'm still not a big fan of electric vehicles, but at the same time, you're gonna have to get used to them. So that's all I'm gonna say. All right, and we are at 35 minutes and 30 seconds in this show. Not a very long show, to be honest with you. I've pretty much have gone through every single thing in this episode, but I could talk to you guys about my Talladega trip. So, this will not be the only video this week. I will be vlogging for both days. They're not going to be super, really, really long videos because I'm not really, this is going to be the first time I'm vlogging on this channel. Because keep in mind, guys, we don't want this to just be a podcast only channel. I do want to branch out and give out more content to you guys, because it's really important that there's variety out there, and that's why I've been starting to do a lot of the new videos, like the Camaro video and the Cody Ware video. Those are actually the most viewed videos on the channel. I don't know if you guys like the podcast or not. I'm gonna keep it going anyways because it's my channel. I'll do what I want, but I'm starting to branch out with a lot of things. It's this channel is definitely growing. It's definitely growing. We'll definitely, this channel, I'm not going to give up on this. This is going to be a really fun thing to do for me and for the people involved. Adam, X, Seth, shout out to those guys, man. They've done they've helped out a lot. Even when they're not on the episodes with me, even though I am just a one-man band for the episodes, they've always been supportive of it. They've always given me recommendations, and they have my back, and I can't ask for any more better friends. So if you guys are watching this video, shout out to you guys. By the way, no, this isn't filler. I knew that this wasn't a really big, heavy news week. I pretty much covered every single thing. I didn't sugarcoat it. I just kept it straightforward. I didn't want to take up a whole lot of time just for fillers. So, yeah, there's that. However, going back to my trip real quick, I will be down there. I'm actually going to start driving. As of this recording, as of right now, I will be on the road at 1 o'clock because where I'm from, it is an 11-hour drive down to Talladega. So, yeah, I'm going to be driving out through the night. Now, this won't be the first. Now, this actually isn't the first time I've done this. I've done something similar to this. Like, I've driven, like, a few years ago, I have driven down to Myrtle Beach, which is like a 12-hour drive, and we basically have done the exact same thing. So, even though I'm not totally accustomed to that, I don't take long trips like this often. I have done something like this, so yeah, I mean, pretty fun to say the least. So, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, I hope you guys are ready for those vlogs. Those are going to be very fun to watch. I won't try to act too corny in them, but yeah. So, all right, now let's get into the final segment of the show, and that is the race picks segment of the show. Now, there's only two main series races this weekend. It is tomorrow, which is the first Xfinity Series race that I'm attending to since 2017. Tomorrow will be the AGP Pro 300. I believe that's a golf company, I believe. AGP Pro 300 at Talladega Superspeedway. It is the 9th race for the NASCAR Xfinity Series this year. And now I'm going to pick to see who is going to win it. It's pretty obvious who I'm going to pick. He has been really, really good at Superspeedways this year. He has stayed out of trouble. He's had luck on his side. He's the lucky man in my heart. It's like, nah. But you guys have seen me post about him on social media. I don't think this man needs any introduction. Give me Austin Hill, ladies and gentlemen, to win at Talladega. Mark my words, Austin Hill will win at Talladega. That's all I need to say. All right, now let's get down to the final race of the weekend, and that is the Geico 500, the main event, the the Cup Series event. It is the 10th race on the NASCAR Cup Series season. Now, who is going to win this wild son of a bitch known as a race? When it comes to super speedway racing, it you could either be really really skilled and get to the front, stay out front, and stay out of trouble, or you can win this race just off of sheer luck. Justin Haley, anyone? But no, in all seriousness though, it's all gonna come. I don't know. Like, matter of fact, the past few Talladega races have actually been pretty calm to say the least. Like, yeah, there have been wrecks, but like, there's been some clean finishes here and there. Like last year's fall race, I honestly thought a wreck was going to happen on that final lap, and you don't need a whole lot of wrecks in order for it to be an exciting finish. I actually like watching clean um, finishes at super speedway races, like Atlanta, the fifth race of the season. Like there was no wreck on the final lap. It was a clean finish, and everyone made it. Everyone's car made it out okay. Not saying that action isn't a very entertaining thing, but like you like to see clean finishes at super speedways. But anyways, I'm not talking about finishes. I'm talking about who's gonna win the race. So I've looked really hard about it, and I just think with the horsepower that this guy has, not just at not just at super speedways, but like he's been off to an impressive start, and he's actually currently, if the playoffs were to start right now, he'd be in, but he doesn't have a win. In my in my personal opinion, and his last win came at this racetrack. My pick for the 2023 Geico 500 is none other than Brad Keselowski. I think Brad, with the history that he has at Talladega, I think that he is gonna be a guy to watch. I think that he gets his first win with RFK, and he's had a very fantastic start to the year, unlike his last year's start to the year where he had that 100 point penalty. But I think Brad will get this win and lock himself in. I think BK is he's gonna surprise a lot of people this year. I think with the way he's been running, he's been. There was a point to where in the first 5 races of the year he led a lap in every single one of those races. So don't sleep on Brad Keselowski this year. He's been quiet and sneaky, and I think this is where he shines and gets the win. So Brad Keselowski, I predict, will win at Talladega. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another over 40-minute show, but really got the ins and outs of everything that needed to be talked about, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the races this weekend. I know I for sure would, and I'm recording this at night. It's currently 9:45 p.m. I'm not gonna sleep because there's really no reason to, because I'm gonna be woken up, and I could sleep on the ride there anyway. So but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Do please subscribe to the channel. It would really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode today, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you guys next time.